Teen Services Librarian at the Brain District Library, and today I am going to show you how to bake your very own Snickerdoodle cookies. This is a super simple recipe. You just need to have a handful of ingredients, which were just listed below, so if you rewind this video just a little bit, pause on the ingredient list, it'll have everything you need there for it. Also, if you're very lucky, you might be able to pick up one of our dry ingredient kits that we have left at the library. Just stop in, you can ask. This is for teens, grades 7 through 12, so sorry adults, you're not going to be able to have one of our kits. But if not, you can always pick up your own supplies. You are going to need to provide your own butter, egg, and vanilla extract, as well as some salt. So stay tuned and follow along to learn how to make these delicious cookies. Okay, to start out with, let's go ahead and open up this kit and take out our ingredients. So in your kit, if you've got one, you're going to have a little thing of cinnamon, another one that this contains your cream of tartar and your baking soda, sugar, and the ingredients you're going to need to supply at home are a stick of unsalted butter, and you're going to want to make sure to take this out at least an hour beforehand and to let it get down to room temperature so that it is squishy enough to actually blend well. An egg and vanilla extract, and also you're going to need salt. You are also going to need a mixing bowl, measuring cups, measuring spoons, and a mixer. I'm going to use a hand mixer. Well, you can also use a stand mixer. Technically, you can have a mixing spoon. It's just going to take you a lot longer, and your arm is going to hurt by the end of it. But any type of mixer is going to work.
To get started, you're going to take your 1 stick of unsalted butter that you have allowed to soften. Make sure it's kind of squishy, because if it's not, and in my case, I probably should have let this butter sit out a tiny bit longer, it's going to take you longer to incorporate it. So you're going to put in your butter, and then we are going to grab our sugar. So for this, you are going to need 3/4 cup sugar. So you are going to need your measuring cup at this point. So I'm grabbing my 1/4 cup, and I'm just going to try and get it as level as possible. It doesn't have to be exact, but I'd rather have a little less than too much. And I'm just going to put 3 scoops of the 1/4 cup in here. Once we have our sugar in there, we are going to grab our mixer, and we're going to use a medium speed to mix our butter and sugar together. This is what we call the creaming method. And we're going to want to mix this until it's light and fluffy. I use medium speed during this. You don't want your speed too high, or otherwise you're going to have like sugary butter flakes just flying everywhere. There, so I'm just going to keep mixing. If you're in a stand mixer, you can just let it go and keep an eye on it. If you're like me using a hand mixer, I just kind of keep going around. As you can see, my butter was still a little solid, so it takes me a little longer. So you're just going to keep doing that circular motion until it gets nice and fluffy. So I'm going to speed this up until it gets to the point where you can see it. You're going to be mixing for about 4 to 6 minutes until you get the nice fluffy texture that you're looking for. So you're going to keep going, you'll stop, check on it periodically, but here you can see how mine's going. At first it's going to look like little pebbles, and eventually it will kind of all come together. Alright, so I'm going to scrape the sides, make sure I don't have any that's lingering there, put it all together. This is about what you want your dough to look like. It's nice and fluffy. Now it's time to add your egg. So I'm going to crack the egg on the side of the bowl. If you are not great at egg cracking, I suggest you do this instead of right over top of your dough. Do it in a separate bowl and then dump it in. because you don't want eggshells in there. I bake a lot, so I've gotten pretty decent at it, though I still occasionally get an eggshell in there. But make sure you get all your egg in, and then you can get rid of that shell. Now it's time to add our vanilla extract. You're going to want to put a teaspoon of vanilla extract into this. After you put in your vanilla extract, then you are going to grab your mixer again, and you're going to start mixing. Once again, if you're using a hand mixer, you're going to do this in circular motion. You just want the egg and the vanilla well incorporated. So it's gonna look really wet because we haven't put any dry ingredients in yet. Now it's time to put in your flour. So you are also going to need a measuring cup for this part of it. And you are going to be doing 1 cup and 1 2/5 cup for this. So you're going to need your 1 cup, and then you're also going to need a tablespoon. So get your 1 cup of flour. You can either try and dig it out like I did right there, which didn't really work, or if you're using one of ours, you can just go ahead and fill it up to the brim. And then I'm going to do that just right over just in case because I don't want it to spill. It's going to be clumpy, so I'm going to actually grab a butter knife and I'm going to pat it down a little bit, and then I'm going to go over top of my flour bin and I'm just going to scrape it down so it's level. And then I'm actually going to take my butter knife and I'm just going to poke it in my flour a little bit. This is to help go and break up any air pockets that might be in there. Once that's done, I'm going to dump it in there. Then for the 2/5, because we do not have a 2/5 cup spoon, it is actually the equivalent of 6.5 tablespoons. So I'm going to try and get some level tablespoons and just count them off. So 1, 2, just flatten that down with my finger. There's 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I'm just gonna guesstimate what a half is. So you can get a half tablespoon measuring if you want, but I'm just gonna do it that way and just eyeball it. Then I'm going to grab my little cup from my kit that has my cream of tartar and my baking soda. So cream of tartar, if you're doing this without one of our kits, I'm using 3/4 cream of tartar and then 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. Put those in, they are the rising agent. So they're what's going to make your cookies rise up instead of just being flat messes. And then for the salt, it is technically, the recipe calls for a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, but I just poured out some salt and I just took a pinch and threw it in there. I'm not too concerned about it, but you can be exact if you want with your measurements. Once I have all those dry ingredients in there, I'm going to grab my mixer again. And I'm just going to go in, before I turn it on, I just flatten that out so that it's less likely to give a big poof of flour all in my face when I turn on the mixer. Once again, I'm going to do a medium speed just so that my ingredients don't fly everywhere, and I'm going to continue that circular motion with my hand mixer. And I'm going to do that until all my ingredients are incorporated. Occasionally I might pause and use a spatula to scrape kind of the flour off the side and make it sure it's getting incorporated into the dough properly. Okay, and I'm just going to speed up this video, and then, like, see, I'm just going to scrape around the sides, make sure it's all together, mix a tiny bit more before I am satisfied. You mainly just want all of that flour incorporated so you don't get little chunks of flour in your dough. Okay, now I've finished mixing it, and I'm gonna go ahead to check to see whether it's the right consistency. I'm going to just bundle up my dough into a ball, and I can pick it up there. It's kind of like Play-Doh. It is, you can squish your hand into it. You're gonna get a little bit of dough chunks on you, but it's gonna be pretty solid. It's not gonna be like a sticky mess all over your fingers at that point. Now I'm gonna take my dough just leave it in the bowl, and I'm gonna pop it into the fridge for about 25 to 30 minutes to chill.
Okay, next up we are going to make our cinnamon sugar mixture. This is what we're going to roll the dough in before we put it in the oven. the oven to make it that snickerdoodle. So you're gonna grab your sugar and you're gonna grab your cinnamon. So for your sugar, you actually need only 1/4 cup, but this is kind of a, like, ratio-wise, you could probably just dump all of this in here, or if you want to be exact and consider your sugar, grab about 1/4 cup, throw it in, you'll need another bowl in there, and then sugar, I measured out a tablespoon. If you don't like a lot of cinnamon, you can just go ahead and measure it out, or you can put it all in there, however you like. So that's in there, and then you can take a whisk, or you can just take a regular fork, and you're just gonna want to incorporate this to it. And there you go, you now see how to make cinnamon sugar. That's all you do. Oh, and when you're done, if you end up not using all of it, you can actually hold on to your little tin and put it in there, and just make sure to have it labeled so you know it's there. And then you're also going to want to preheat your oven to 350 degrees. All right, so now we just have to wait those 30 minutes for our dough to chill, and then I'll show you the next step. Once your dough is chilled, you're gonna take it out of the oven, you're gonna roll it into a ball, and then you're gonna dip it into your cinnamon sugar mixture until it's nice and coated. I got that one kind of out of shape, so I had to re-roll it. And then you're going to place it on your cookie sheet. And your best option is to get a piece of parchment paper, or you can use a silicone mat if you have a silicone baking mat, and put them on top of that. That will help it so they don't stick to your pan. So you're just going to roll out all of your dough and make your cookies. Try to make a good amount of space in between each of the cookies because they're going to spread a little bit. If you like a flatter cookie, you can flatten them down a bit with your hand, or you can just leave them in the ball if you want them a little fluffier. They're there. So just go ahead and continue doing this until you fill your cookie sheet. And then if you want, you can eat, if you have some left over once you fill your tray, you can refrigerate that dough, or you can make more cookies. Once you have your cookies ready on the tray, you're going to put them in the oven, a 350 degree oven, for roughly between 9 to 14 minutes. Oven temperatures can vary, so I suggest putting them into 10 to start with and check on them. After you've done that, once your cookies are out, you can put them on a cooling rack. If you don't have a cooling rack, just go ahead and maybe put them on another plate just to cool. If you leave them on the pan, they might continue baking because of the hot metal. Okay, my cookies are now out of the oven. They are quite yummy, and I like to eat these warm, but you can always, everybody has their preferences. For it, my cookies, because of the size that I made them, I ended up with about 18 cookies out of the batch that we made. But if you made them a little bit smaller than that, you might be able to get out 20 out of the measurements that we used today. And then you can always double it to get more. Please keep in mind, baking times can vary by oven. Mine, like I said, mine were probably in there about 14 minutes, but yours could be anywhere from 9 to 15. So I always say, set it at 10 minutes when you go to bake, and then check check them at there and see how much time you think they need. Because they are covered in cinnamon, they can be a little deceptive. So you want to look for a little bit of the browning at the edges for them to be the right amount that you need. All right, I hope you enjoyed baking some snickerdoodles. Next month, if you join us, hopefully we'll be on Zoom and be doing it live. We are going to be making cinnamon swirl quick bread. We're going to do some mini loaves for the holidays. So I hope I will see you then and that you enjoyed this. Bye.